Hello and welcome back to Crackpot Sports. We're going to talk about Week 14 of the NFL. The game's going on right now is the Patriots versus the Cardinals. Patriots up by 1, but I believe the Cardinals are driving with Colt McCoy. Good old Colt McCoy. Dude will not go away.
He's a good streaming quarterback in fantasy football.
He's good. He's a good streaming quarterback. He just doesn't have the accuracy. Those jokes will never get old. Never get old. Poor Colt McCoy.
We've been doing it for about 7-8 years now.
How long has he been in the league? About that long?
He was at UT around like 2008, 2009. So
yeah,
he might be like 14, 15 years in the league. Dang.
Well, I know it was his rookie season, and we were flying to
Washington.
LA.
LA.
No, we're flying to LA, and he was in first class, and I was in just behind first class. And I used the restroom after he used the restroom, for people that don't know. And let's face it, he didn't put down the toilet seat, and his accuracy was not there. That's all I'm saying. And it had to be him because he was the first one to get up to use the restroom, and I used it right after him. So Colt McCoy is not a straight shooter.
It's almost like if you're not that accurate quarterback, you might be a backup.
Exactly. He's actually looked pretty good tonight, but anyway, I was watching the Manning brothers version. If you ever seen them on, Manning cast, it's actually better than the regular cast because I like the way they just joke around and stuff.
Yeah, they have fun. They have a good time. Like whereas like the regular like broadcasters are so serious. Like all right, he's gonna do a handoff here or something. Like it's like so boring.
Yeah, because the original, I don't know if you're old enough to remember the original Monday Night Football with Howard Cosell, Gifford, and Dandy Don Meredith.
Yeah,
they just had a good. Meredith was the guy who was probably drunk the whole time, and Howard Cosell was the legitimate. And then you had Gifford who offered his. They were just great together. The chemistry was just perfect, and you don't get that a lot. Anyway,
yeah, I think the last time you had that was like with John Madden. John Madden,
yeah,
like,
John Madden,
personality.
Yeah, he had a lot of personality. He was good in there. I like Tony Romo. I think Tony Romo's pretty good. I like Troy Aikman. Troy Aikman's pretty good, but there's a lot of them that just you go, oh my God, you're so boring. Because a lot of times the game itself is boring, right? So you need something to
So many commercials, yeah.
The commercials are ridiculous. But anyway. Enough complaining. First game I want to talk about is the Thursday night game between the Rams and the Raiders. Now, here I'm picking the Raiders. I think the Raiders are finally getting it all together. It was basically a home game for the Raiders. They took over SoFi, which they do with the Chargers and the Rams. It's why it's almost like the Raiders should have been put in LA instead of the Chargers, but I don't want to complain. But Raiders had this game. They get a great punt, and Baker Mayfield, who had been on the team for 2 days, leads them to a game-winning touchdown.
Well, it was also a classic Derek Carr game. He had 140 yards, 2 interceptions.
Yeah, 137 yards, 2 interceptions. He just fades. He looks so good against the Chargers. And you're right. It's if you look at their losses, you can look at Derek Carr. He has the best running back in football right now. Jacobs is the leading rusher.
Well, it's either him or Eckler.
Yeah, but Eckler's more of a back
pass catcher.
Yeah, he's not really a I don't want to say true running back because he's not going to get you those. He's good inside. He's good inside the red zone. He scores a lot of touchdowns. But he's not going to be that every down back where you count on to, run the clock and all that stuff. But as far as straight running back, Jacobs is having a great year. But Carr is just terrible. And I think I was going to do a video on Derek Carr and trying to figure out his contract status. I think that they released him 3 days after the Super Bowl. It's not as big a hit as it would be if they wait until June or something like that.
I mean, if I was Raiders, I'd definitely do that. I would definitely.
Yeah, because the problem is though, what's out there, quarterback wise?
The Raiders might have like a top 10 pick, so they might be able to get like a good like rookie.
Yeah. Well, they got to do something because that team has just been just a mess, and it starts with ownership. You know, great haircut guy is not that great, but the Raiders, like I said, I was like, oh, maybe McDaniels is getting it, but just I don't know. I just one of those games where the Raiders should have won. They could have got back in playoff contention at 6-7, right? They're 5-8 right now.
They're in the bunch of teams that are like hanging on the fringe of the playoffs.
Right. Anyway, but Baker Mayfield, I guess he'll finish out the season and see what happens from there. Maybe I don't know what the Stafford contract is. I know they signed him to a huge extension too, but the thing about NFL contracts are not guaranteed. It's the bonus, whatever the bonus money is.
But that was a shocking like outcome for Baker Mayfield. Like he had only been there like what 3 days, and like
I thought it was 2 days.
Like did he know any of the playbook? Like
I don't know. Just it was like probably you know how you used to play football and you used to draw the play on the dirt.
Bomb play. Just so deep.
But it just I don't know. The Rams, like again, they're having a terrible season. Not going to even make the playoffs. And then you have the Raiders, who are not going to make the playoffs. I mean, you got to give Raider fans credit. They've done nothing for the last 20-something years. What it was, the last Super Bowl was in San Diego. The Super Bowl was in San Diego. They played Tampa Bay.
Yeah, it was right when
2003, maybe?
Yeah, right when the coach left from the Raiders to Tampa.
Yeah.
Gruden.
John
Gruden. Yeah.
But anyway, enough of the Raiders.
I would gladly trade off a Super Bowl season for this horrible Rams season.
Yeah, they've been bad, and again, I was reading their contracts. They got like 6 guys. It takes up like 80% of the payroll. It's just incredible what they did.
Aaron Donald.
And it didn't work because they haven't captured LA. They haven't. LA just doesn't care.
They just care about the Chargers. They're all Chargers town now.
Yeah, I can't even say that. I mean, they got a small fan base, both teams, but it's not like one team as like it's not like the Dodgers, the Lakers, USC, UCLA. It just doesn't have that. The Sparks. There's just not that. I just don't love their. I don't know what it is. I can't figure it out.
I would guess that the fans, like everybody in LA, still loves the Raiders. And so even though they moved to Las Vegas, they're still Raiders fans.
I said that
like, whereas like Chargers, they were the rivals for like what 20, 30 years. So like you're not gonna like change fan bases.
No. Well, they say that it's gonna take decades before both teams can build a fan base again because kids growing up will adopt those teams. But by then, there might not even be an NFL. Who knows? Moving on, we got the Jets versus Buffalo. I picked the Jets last week in our picks. I had the Jets. You had the Bills. You made the correct pick there.
Yeah, you actually thought that the Jets would actually sweep the Bills 2-0. Like
I just thought the defense for the Jets could win the game, and Mike White could do enough to get and defensively the Jets played well enough to win the game. They kept Allen to 147 yards passing, 47 yards rushing, but he did have a TD both passing and rushing, which was the difference. He still takes too many. I don't know if you saw that one play. He was going for a first down. He jumps in the air, he spins around.
He got like smashed on that play. Yeah,
I know. And I'm like going, what are you? You are the team. You are. If you get hurt, Buffalo is done. I don't even know who their backup is. I can't remember who their backup is. But if he gets hurt, they are done.
Pretty crazy.
but he's a big guy. But again, Cam Newton was a big guy, and he took hit after hit after hit after hit, and suddenly he was, what was he? He was out of the league at what? He's not that old by quarterback standards nowadays. Sometimes you have to avoid the hit.
If it wasn't the season finale of White Lotus, I think Mike White would have been more focused on this game. But he had so much going on this week.
I haven't watched White Lotus. I hear I should watch it. It's supposed to be pretty good.
It is pretty good.
Okay, I'll have to catch up and watch it. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say that show is much better than Mike White on Survivor.
Okay, yeah, he wasn't very good on Survivor, was he?
No. He made final 3 or final 2, I think, but
yeah, but he just wasn't very
entertaining. There you go.
Next up, Browns versus Bengals. Bengals are on a roll. I could see them going to the Super Bowl again. They're just of course, I'll jinx them, and this week they'll lose, but they're playing great football right now.
It's like last year, yeah, they're heating up like right at the right time, right December, like, winning all the games.
Yeah, they got a pretty good running game. Of course, they got Burrow, who I think is, if I had to take a quarterback, I'm taking Burrow.
Going back to the draft class,
yeah,
Justin Herbert, Tua Tagovailoa,
Herbert,
Jalen Hurts.
I forgot about Jalen Hurts too. Yeah, I always forget about Jalen Hurts. I just like Burrow.
But yeah. I mean, Burrow's looked the best out of all those quarterbacks.
I mean, he's had the worst offensive line but he does have great receivers.
Jamar Chase came back 2 weeks ago. He's
right
back to normal.
In shape. But yeah, they easily beat the Browns. Watson had 276 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception. Burrow 339 yards, 2 TDs, and 1 INT. So, I mean, they beat the Chiefs the week before. So, yeah, they're 9-4 now, and I think that they can make a run.
They're heating up.
Yeah. I just threw this next game in just because I was shocked it was that close. The Texans 23, Cowboys 27. The Cowboys needed to score 10 points in the fourth quarter and on the final drive to win the game.
Yeah, I was shocked at halftime when Houston had 23-20 lead. I was like, how is this going on? It's a 1-win team versus a 9-win team.
And the Texans have been so bad. The Cowboys have played great football.
Yeah, Texans have rotated 3 different quarterbacks now.
Yeah. Does Lovie Smith get a second year?
Does the Houston ownership even care anymore? I don't know. It doesn't seem like they care that much about the team. It seems like a little bit like the Miami Marlins, where they don't care. All right, we're just put out a team out. Maybe
we're making money. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad, but but they're just a mess. I mean, Bill O'Brien destroyed that team. They had some great players there, and they traded them all away. Of course, you had the Deshaun Watson mess.
Oh no, the ridiculous DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson trade was.
Yeah, I still remember that one.
Horrible.
What? What are you thinking? All right, you have a quarterback. It's pretty good, and you trade one of his best receiver or the best receiver, and he's still playing well
for a running back that's out of the league 1 year later.
Yeah, and he was broken down when they got him.
Right.
Bill O'Brien, never put him in charge of anything. Next up, we have the Vikings versus the Lions, and the Lions cannot be stopped. 34-23. Kirk Cousins had 425 yards, 2 TDs. Jared Goff, 330 yards, 3 TDs. The Lions are now 6-7, just outside the wild card berth. The Lions.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand the Lions.
No.
I'm shocked when they pull off these upsets like this.
And I think we talked last week about Jared Goff. They're going to have a high draft choice because of the trade they made with the Rams.
Right.
I think like you said, they should trade down and add players around him because he's proving he's a pretty decent quarterback.
I mean, they're paying him $40 million, whatever. Like,
Right.
you
I mean,
might
that
as
was
well
it.
like let him stay around and just like, yeah, go back, get like extra draft picks, maybe get a quarterback to like groom or something.
Yeah, because he's. I mean, again, he's playing pretty well this season. He
They've
looks
got a
like the
bunch.
guy. He looks like the guy that took the Rams to the Super Bowl way back when.
They got solid run backs. They got solid receivers.
Yeah,
Jamal Williams, Swift. They got
yeah,
this Alabama receiver that finally like healed from his ACL injury.
yeah,
Jameson Williams.
yeah. I just so the Lions. I mean, they just because the Vikings going in were 10-2.
Surprisingly, you're like, how are they 10-2?
Yeah, because defensively they're not. It's their offense that's been carrying them, but the defense is like. I mean, Cousin had 425 yards, and they still lost.
Crazy.
I don't know. But Lions, hats off to the Lions for giving their fans something to cheer about. First time in since Barry Sanders, maybe?
Barry Sanders or
Megatron years, I guess. Well, he was great fun to watch, but the Lions themselves were not that great. Lions just one of those teams, almost like you're saying, like Houston. They just don't. I mean, they've never been to a Super Bowl ever in their history. They've never been to a Super Bowl.
I guess more like the Houston Oilers. Like they were like a fun offense, but they would
That's
never
true.
go anywhere or something.
Yeah. I mean, they had great players, but never almost like the San Diego Chargers. Great players, but never enough to get over the top. Oh, well. Next up, Eagles versus the Giants. The Giants have really come back down to earth. David Jones, I don't think they didn't pick up his fifth-year option. I think they probably let him go.
Daniel Jones, not David Jones, but
I said
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Daniel Jones. I even have it written in front of me, Daniel Jones, but I said David Jones. But Daniel Jones, do they just let him go? I mean, they didn't pick up his option.
I mean, like, the whole team around him seems like solid. It's just like he's like the piece that's messing it up.
Yeah, I mean, he had 169 yards, 1 TD, but nothing spectacular. He's just he'll have a job in the NFL. Someone will take a chance on him. He'll be a good backup for a long time.
The next clipboard Jesus.
Yes, clipboard Jesus. Charlie Whitehurst. Whitehurst.
Charlie Whitehurst.
Charlie Whitehurst. Yeah. But I'm not getting him $200 million plus 100. I'm not giving him a big contract to come play for my team. I think just roll the dice and see if you can pick up.
Roll dice on like a rookie quarterback, go like cheap salary again.
Yeah, and then you just put some more offensive weapons in there, and maybe beef up the offensive line. But Jalen Hurts had another big game: 217 yards, 2 TDs, 77 yards rushing, 1 TD, and Miles Sanders, running back, 144 yards, 2 TDs. So you watch them, and you look at the NFC. You're thinking, okay, it's got to be between the Cowboys and the Eagles. But you look at what how the Cowboys struggled against the Texans. I'm like, well, maybe not. And of course, Minnesota can come out of nowhere and score too.
It just seems like very easy for the Eagles and NFC. Like how do they not make the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I mean they just.
Whereas the AFC is like a huge mess. Like Buffalo, Kansas City, Miami, Baltimore, Chargers.
Yeah, and before the season started, I really thought the AFC was going to be stacked with these great teams because they had so many potentially great quarterbacks, and it's the NFC is the dominant league, I think. I mean, as far as the teams that potentially win the Super Bowl, the way the Eagles are playing and the Cowboys have been playing, I don't know. There are a lot of bad teams, though.
But then we just talked about Cowboys struggling with Houston, like a 1-win team.
Yeah, it's true, but every team has a bad game.
Mhm.
I'll let them slide on that one. Let's see how they perform this week. But Eagles, they're fun to watch, and they added Dominic Sue, all these other players before to beef up their defense. I mean, they went for it. They're going for it.
Yeah, load up on defense line.
Yeah, to stop the run, and which is perfect. And then a surprising game. It was surprising me because Tennessee got off to a good start, but Jacksonville beat Tennessee 36-22.
Yeah, that was a weird result.
Yeah, I mean, Trevor Lawrence, who I go back and forth with, is he going to make it? Is he not going to make it? He was supposed to be a can't miss. He had a great game, 368 yards and 3 TDs. Now, Tannehill, who is just, to me, he's just not the guy to take. He'll have great games. It's almost like Derek Carr. Have really good games. And he didn't have a bad game. He had 254 yards, 2 TDs, but 1 INT. And Henry had 121 yards and 1 TD. But they still got crushed by the Jacksonville Jaguars, is one of they're a team that's, they've beaten some really good teams this year, but they've lost some. You never know, but they're just outside the playoffs now at 5-8. You never know.
They're like the Jets. They're like a feisty team. Like they're like you wouldn't expect it, but they're hanging around.
Yeah, they don't quit. Mm-hmm. And maybe with a few more, another draft under their belt next year, add some more key free agents, and Trevor Lawrence gets comfortable, maybe they're the team to beat. Maybe we're talking about Jacksonville next year, which is not something we've talked about a lot
ever.
Yeah, but it's cracked me up that Tennessee is 7-5. So 7-5 7-5, and they're still 2 games up on the Jags. Or is it 7-6? They are. Am I wrong?
They're 7-6.
7-6,
yeah.
and still 2 games up on the Jags.
They've lost 3 straight. They were 7-3.
Yeah. You figure with having Derrick Henry, but their defense hasn't been playing well either lately. It's like the whole team has just kind of collapsed, and I think they're better than what they're playing. But again, I could be wrong. I've been wrong before.
I just feel like the AFC South and NFC South, it's like always like the bad teams. Like,
yeah. I mean,
we have a losing record, like host a home.
I still say if you don't have a winning record, and now especially with 17 games, it's none of this 8-8 crap. So if you have a losing record, you shouldn't make the playoffs.
I mean, ideally, that should be the exception. Like, all right, if you win your division, you host a home game. But if you have a losing record, you don't get to host a home game. Like, it seems like an easy rule.
Yeah, to me, again, but if you have a losing record, you shouldn't make the playoffs. There's no hosting. I mean, you had a losing record. You won because you're in a crappy division. Right. And you got other teams that that might win 10 or 11 games that don't make the playoffs, but you win. It just, to me, and especially with Tampa Bay, you never know with Tom Brady, he could get hot. I mean, he doesn't have the team around him that he's had in the past.
But, I mean, his receivers are horrible. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. Who are these receivers?
Well, they're not successful. I mean, they're just not putting it together. They just don't have the all-star players they had when he went on. When he first got there, they loaded up, and he doesn't have that tight end either. That the Gronkowski, he can just go, okay, save me. But anyway, next I put this in here: Baltimore versus Pittsburgh. Baltimore holds on to a 16-14 win. Kenny Pickett only threw 1 pass and he left with a concussion.
Yeah, he got knocked out.
Yeah, and that was the difference in the game because Travinsky came in 276 yards, 1 TD, but 3 INTs. And I saw I was watching the red zone, and 2 of the interceptions, like, oh my God, who are you throwing it to?
I think all 3 of the interceptions were in the red zone.
I know 2 were. That could have been the third one. I didn't see it, but I was like going, oh my God, he's just they were saying, oh, he didn't have the players around him in Chicago. He's a better quarterback than what they say. That pregame, the preseason fluff stuff, and then he comes in, he's still the same guy.
AKA a lot of excuses for Trubisky.
Yeah. And, it's just like Baltimore didn't have Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Which affected him, but still.
But then you had J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards ran wild.
Yeah.
They had 200 rushing yards or something.
Yeah. So finally they're getting the running game going.
Right.
But they just, I don't know. I mean, Baltimore's definitely going to need Lamar Jackson to come back. And Lamar Jackson has to be the Lamar Jackson we saw the first half of the season, not the Lamar Jackson we've seen the second half of the season for them to go far in the playoffs.
The one that's losing money on his contract.
Yes, exactly. I can't wait for the offseason just to see what he gets. If he gets that big, contract. I mean, if you're Baltimore, you can't let him. I think you said a few weeks ago, you can't let him go because there's nothing else out there. And you're not going to have a high draft pick because you're probably going to make the playoffs. But I don't know.
He's going to get the big Jay and Jack Ramblecast money.
Well, he should have signed the contract before then. Next game, Kansas City 34, Chiefs 28. No, I'm sorry. Broncos. I actually wrote Chiefs. Broncos 28. God, I'm getting old. But I was watching this game. It was like 24-3 or something like that. Some lopsided score. And I go, well, this game's over because Denver can't score. And then I flipping around games. And I went, because I was actually watching Carolina-Seattle game for a while. And then I came back and I went, how is this close? It was 27-21. So it must have been 24-7 or something, whatever it was. And I go, holy crap, Denver's making a comeback. They've scored 24 points, which is incredible. But
so wait,
anyway,
I missed this game. Did Denver end up beating Kansas City?
No, Kansas City won 34-28. Wilson suffered a concussion.
Yeah, I thought he got knocked out of the game with concussion.
Yeah. They showed a big lump on his forehead. I think
that's not good.
Go what?
Oh no, I said yeah. Lump on the head is not good.
No, but they may have won the game if he had been healthy because he was playing pretty well at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But for Denver to score 28 points and lose is kind of a shock. But you're going against Kansas City. Mahomes had 352 yards, 3 TDs, 3 interceptions. He had one amazing TD. I don't know if you saw it. It looked like he was going to get and he just kind of threw it like this. The guy catches it, runs 40 yards for a touchdown. And if you're a defensive player, it's like, come on, that's not fair.
I mean, at least it wasn't underhanded like most of his crazy throws are.
Yeah, he just kind of flung it. The receiver caught it, turned around, and ran for 40-yard touchdown. It's just he would be my first choice for quarterback in the NFL.
Oh, definitely.
If I had a choice, I'd take him. Wilson had 247 yards, 3 TDs, and 1 INT. So not bad for Russell Wilson. Good game. Nathaniel Hackett, I still think he's gone at the end of the year. I can't see them bringing him back unless they win the last 4 games, which I don't see happening.
I mean, is 28 points their highest scoring score of the year?
They gave Nathaniel Hackett the football.
You got 28 points. You went over 20 points.
Yeah, it was kind of amazing for him. But Chiefs keep rolling. They'll probably have, I think it's between them and Buffalo, the number 1 seed, right? But Buffalo, they beat Buffalo.
Hey, I think Kansas City has one more win.
Yeah.
So most likely they'll get the bye.
And those are 2 places that you don't want to travel to.
I know.
In late December,
Buffalo
early
in the snow, or KC with their amazing fans.
Yeah, and it's also cold there. So, and that's one place that doesn't have a stadium takeover. You might see a sprinkle of whoever they're playing, a player here, but it's usually a sea of red. Whereas, some stadiums say, okay, well, the next game, SoFi,
like Chargers,
Chargers, the Rams, the Chargers, and even tonight, I was watching the game with Arizona and New England, and it sounded like there were a lot of Patriots fans there. It did. I mean, it just sounded like a lot of them. But next, we're going to go to your game. The final game we're going to talk about is the Dolphins versus the Chargers. What was the game plan? This is how you beat the Chargers: running the ball, and the poor defense for the Dolphins. 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. I'm like going, what are you doing? You're putting the defense was out there. They showed a stat. At one point, it was 8 minutes for the Dolphins, like 22 minutes for the Chargers. Your defense, you cannot win games that way. And Tua, he was awful.
He was horrible.
He was. I mean, I'm looking. I go, oh my God, he's not even close. And there was one passing through to Tyreek Hill that Tyreek lost it. He's looking around and it bounced. If he catches it,
it was like middle field. Like he threw it too early, I guess.
Yeah, and he's like looking, and it bounced just behind him. If he saw it, he probably catches it and runs for a touchdown.
Yeah, he had like 5 yards on like the
easily.
quarterback. Yeah.
And Tyreek Hill had one of the best touchdowns I've seen, where he got the fumble recovery.
The fumble where he ran around
and just they said the one guy to pick it up, Tyreek Hill, that hurt the Chargers. But I mean, the battle of the matchup between who's the best quarterback, Tua or Herbert. Herbert was outstanding.
Yeah, it was bad for Tua.
I mean, Tua.
They if Dolphins wanted to attack like the middle of the field or deep passes, but like San Diego planned for that, and they were all there.
L.A.
Yeah, sorry, the Chargers.
Yeah.
But they had like 2 or 3 guys on every receiver. They were just sitting back, waiting for them to pass.
Yeah. I don't know if the game.
They should have attacked more short passes or run the ball
screens.
More. But
yeah, that's how you beat the Chargers. Our screen passes, running the ball. They have no depth at defensive line. Even when Bosa was playing, they had no depth. So these guys are in there. That's why they suffer in the fourth quarter. You have to run the ball. And like you said, you're throwing 20 yards downfield, and his accuracy was way off.
They kept getting 3 and outs. So you kept.
And then you throw the defense back out there.
The defense on the field, they were just getting worn out.
Yeah, and again, it ended up 23-17, a close game. When you look at Herbert's stats, he was 39 of 51, 367 yards, but only 1 TD. And there was a play at the end of the first half. It was 3rd and 16, 3rd and goal, and the Dolphins, they called a timeout. Chargers called a timeout. Dolphins were all in the end zone, and they just threw a screen pass to Eckler, and you got down to the 1 yard line. Next play, they go and they scored a touchdown before the half. I'm going, why do you have everybody? The Chargers rarely throw downfield. Most of the time, and especially they were getting pressure. And the reason there was 3rd and 16 is because the Dolphins just had a sack. And it wasn't called roughing the passer. That was a terrible call.
Oh my God, that call was horrible.
I was going. It was so late too. I mean, the Chargers offense was on the sidelines.
And it was he eased up on the tackle. You couldn't have been any softer on the tackle.
Yeah, I just was going, man, someone had money. One of the refs had money on the game. That was terrible. But anyway, so when Miami dropped back, I said, you got to put pressure on. I mean, the Chargers do a lot of screen pass, and you have, especially with Eckler, they dump the ball off to Eckler all the time because he's a short guy, but he's built like a tank. And he gets a little head of steam going. I just thought the defensive play calling on that, and I thought the offensive play calling, you kept trying to force the issue. And I realized they probably went into the game because Derwin James, the safety for the Chargers, wasn't playing. He's one of the best players in the league defensively. I get he wasn't playing. You're thinking, okay, we're going to have the middle open all. But once it wasn't working, where's your, okay, this isn't working. Let's try something else.
It was a little frustrating that they didn't adjust their strategy.
Yeah, and they didn't. And I was just like, I went to sleep midway through the third quarter. I said, I got to get up early tomorrow. I can't watch this. But when I woke up, I went, they never changed. They just kept doing the same. You know, I was reading the things, and I go, watching the highlights. I go, I mean, when I went to bed, it was 17-14.
Mm-hmm.
The Tyreek Hill had that great catch and ran for. I mean, that was a good pass by Tua. But again, most of the game, I don't know if Tua had pressure on him because he was trying to live up to the hype, and he just wasn't, because it didn't seem to affect Herbert.
I mean, Tua just like seems like he sucks on like prime time like night games. Like,
yeah, he just was. I mean, at one point he was what? He had 25 yards at the half.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh my
he had
god,
like
let's run.
30 completions or something.
And it seemed like when they ran the ball, which wasn't very often, they were gaining like 6-7 yards a carry. And that's how you have to keep running the ball and short passes on the Chargers. You to draw them in, and with the speed of the Dolphins receivers, that you bring the defense in, then they're going to get behind him. Then Tua can just throw it up. But yeah, that was a brutal loss and now they got to go play Saturday night in Buffalo.
Yeah. But Chargers getting healthy. Their receivers, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. I think they make a run. Like they might make the playoffs now.
They could make a run to playoffs.
Schedule's pretty easy.
Yeah, they got Tennessee next week, which is easy. Then after that, I think they have
Colts,
and they have Rams and Denver. So you never know, but yeah, it just.
It seems like most of those teams are like basically trying for a top draft pick.
Yeah, not the Rams. But anyway, yeah, Dolphins. They may not make the playoffs.
I mean, it would be like a typical Dolphin season. Like, get your hopes up, and then nope,
I'm dashed.
You're not going to make it.
But we'll see what happens. I want to talk about Kyler Murray. I don't know if you saw the beginning of the game, third play of the game. He's running, and his knee just gives out.
Yeah, all I saw was on my phone. I got like Kyler Murray's out for the game.
Yeah, because when I turned it on the fourth play, and Colt McCoy's in there. I go, what's McCoy doing in the game? I thought Kyler Murray's going to play. Then they showed the replay. And he's just running, and it's not even cutting. He just runs, and the knee gave out. So it looked bad. So we'll see what happens. And Bill Belichick, a stat I thought was interesting. He's 23-23 since Tom Brady left. And they there's rumors that Tom Brady would come back to New England next season. If you're Bill Belichick, do you want Tom Brady coming back next year?
I mean, if it's choices like Mac Jones or Tom Brady, yeah.
Okay, so Tom Brady comes back next year. They win the Super Bowl. Bill Belichick, it's going to be, well, you can only win because does he care about that? Or is just
46-year-old Tom Brady is winning a Super Bowl.
Well, we'll see.
That sentence is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, but it's ridiculous. He's still playing.
Yeah, but he got blown out like by San Francisco. San
Francisco is a physical team, and they didn't even have Bosa, did they? Bosa was out, wasn't he?
I think so.
Or did Bosa play? I can't remember,
but there's no something Purdy. Purdy is like the new Tom Brady.
Brock Purdy is Purdy. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Our picks last week: Jets and Bills. You had the Bills. You were right. Browns, Cincy. We both had Cincy. Vikings, Detroit. We both had the Vikings. We were both wrong. Eagles versus Giants. We both had the Eagles. Baltimore, Pittsburgh. You took Baltimore. I took Pittsburgh. I think I would have won if Pickett would have played. Could have played. We both had the 49ers, and we both had Miami. So going into this week's picks, we got Baltimore versus Cleveland. No idea who the quarterback is going to be for the Baltimore. Harbaugh said there's a chance Lamar Jackson could play.
I will go Cleveland.
All right. Mike's taking Cleveland. I'm going to take Baltimore because they're still not scoring points even with Watson back in the NFL playing. So I'll take Baltimore. Next up, we have Miami versus Buffalo, which could be a snow game for Buffalo. In Buffalo, does Tua rebound? He's had 2 bad games in a row. Can he become the player he was in the beginning of the season where they're talking MVP? Now they're talking no.
I mean, Miami luckily beat Buffalo earlier in the season because of the heat. The heat wore them down. I think Buffalo rebounds with the cold and freezes out Tua, and Tua won't be able to pass in the cold weather. So I'm going to Buffalo.
Yeah. I kind of hope Miami can win. I'd like to see them make the playoffs, but I can't see them going to Buffalo. It's because we're here in Raleigh, and we're going to have our weather's going to be in the 40s. So I can't imagine what it's going to be like in Buffalo. If it's 40 here, it's going to probably be 10 degrees in Buffalo. So that's going to be cold.
Yeah, we're in the
ahead.
80s here, so
Yeah,
they're definitely not going to be able to deal with 20s or 30s.
Yeah, in the 80s. Is it humid?
Very humid.
Yeah, that sucks. Next up, Detroit versus the Jets. I'm going to go the Jets. I think Detroit, the defense for the Jets is too tough for Detroit. They'll cause some turnovers for Goff. If Mike White can play, the hit he took was 100 times worse than the hit that Herbert took.
Crazy, the hit he took.
Because that guy came in unblocked. He came flying in and just hit him in the rib cage, and he went
right
down.
In his waist. It's he folded in half.
Mm-hmm. To me, that's roughing the passer. If you're gonna call it, that's roughing the passer. The Herbert one, I'm going. I didn't get it, but I'm gonna take the Jets. Who are you gonna take?
All right, just to be different, I'm gonna go Detroit.
All right.
I think they're feeling themselves. I think their offense is rolling. I think Detroit wins.
All right, I can't argue with you, but I'm gonna take the Jets. Dallas versus the Jags. Do the Jags can they win 2 in a row? Do they go crazy, or does Dallas right the ship and say, hey, we're the team to beat in the NFC, and we're going to go to Jacksonville, and we're going to stomp on you?
I have to go to Dallas. I'm sorry. Even though it's at Jacksonville, I have to go to Dallas.
Yeah, I'm going with it because it won't be a home game for Jacksonville. It'll be flooded with Cowboy fans there. It will be overloaded with Cowboy fans there. New England versus Vegas. I did hear that the attendance at the Dolphins-Charger game was 50-50. I know a couple people went there and they said, yeah, it was definitely half Dolphin fans, half Charger fans there.
Yeah, I was surprised. Listening to the audio, is so many Dolphins fans chanting defense.
Yeah, it was. When they played there, when they played the soccer stadium, it was mostly Dolphin fans at the soccer stadium. So anyway,
I'm just surprised that there's Dolphin fans in California. I know.
Well, I'm pretty sure.
No, Dolphins haven't been relevant for 30 years
Since Marino, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm
Marino and Shula.
You would
but
think...
I'm sure there's a lot of fans that became Dolphin fans because of Dan Marino. Because remember, the LA didn't have a team.
True.
For most of those years, and Marino was fun to watch. I don't know. I'm just looking for something. Next up, we have New England versus Vegas. Vegas, you just don't know. New England. What's the score of the game right now? Do you know?
It is. Hold on.
13. I just looked up 13-7.
13-13.
Oh, 13-13.
Tied game with 9 minutes left.
Tie game. 9 minutes left in the game?
Third quarter.
Third quarter. Okay. 13-13. I'm going to go New England. I think Belichick will be pumped up to beat his longtime assistant, Dick McDaniels, and he wins the game.
Derek Carr's 50-50, bad game, good game. I think it's Derek Carr's good game, so I'm going to go Las Vegas.
All right. Okay. Next up, we have Tennessee versus Los Angeles Chargers. could the Chargers be, because it was such a big win for them to beat the
Mhm.
Dolphins on TV, national TV. The Dolphins basically played into what the Chargers wanted them to do. Is Mike
Vrabel.
Vrabel, is he a better coach? Is he smarter enough to go, okay, I got Travis Henry. Chargers can't stop the run. I'm going to wear their defensive front down.
Derrick
I'm going
Henry.
to take.
Derrick Henry, but yeah.
Who did I say?
Travis Henry.
God, I'm
You're having a
I'm
rough
out of
night.
it. I'm having a rough night. I'm old and I've taken cold medicine, so I apologize. So yeah, Derrick Henry is going to. I think Tennessee wins this. They have to win this game. It's a must-win for Tennessee. It's a must-win for the Chargers too. But I'm going with Tennessee over the LA Chargers. You did say San Diego Charger. You did have one flub.
I'll go with the LA, not San Diego Chargers for the win.
I hope you're wrong. And finally, we have the Bengals versus Tampa Bay. I'm going to take the Bengals.
Yeah, Tampa Bay is a mess. Like they just keep racking up all the wins on the NFC South. So yeah, I'm gonna go Cincinnati.
I mean, they were down at one point 35-0 to 49ers. I know the 49ers are good, but man, that's a big blowout. So we're both going with the Bengals.
Yeah.
All right, that's all I got. I can't go anymore because I don't want to screw up any more names. But anything else you want to add?
That's it. I'm good.
All right. We'll be back next week. Same time, same bat channel.
Let's go, Jesse and Survivor for the win.
I actually met him.
All right. Humble brag.
I was at the party last week, and after the episode, I went up and met him, and I said, hey, congratulations on winning Survivor 43.
Did he have $1 million in his pocket?
Well, it's funny. He just kind of looked at me like, I go, I know you can't say anything, but I go, come on. If you make it to the final three, this game is yours.
You're like blink twice if you want.
I told him, I said, let's face it, you played a hell of a game. And now the audience knows, and now the juror knows you've been pulling. I think they knew anyway, but with the move he made, they know that you're pulling the string. So,
right.
But I think he's a millionaire. So that's all we got. I just wish it wasn't 3 hours. God, those are ridiculous. All those commercials.
He's got DVR it. Start 30 minutes into it.
I don't have. I stream it on Paramount.
Gotcha.
So I have to sit through the commercials.
Yeah, I'm gonna go play trivia at 7:00. Start the show at 8:30, and then tune in to Jay, Jack, and Colleen Survivor podcast at
not
11.
Jay, Jack, and Colleen.
I know. Or the next day.
Yeah,
or Thursday.
Yeah, but what I used to do is when I had DVR, I would start when the show was an hour, a regular hour show. Jamie, yes, I would start the show 25 minutes. I'd start 8:25. I'd finish at 9:00. These 3 hour shows, I'd start at
20-minute commercials. Yeah,
I'd start at 9:15
mm-hmm.
and finish at 11:00. But now when I'm streaming it, I have no choice but to watch the damn commercials. So it's just late. But anyway, we're gonna record on Thursday night. So, but that's it. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for everyone in the chat. We're back next week. Hasta luego and goodbye.
See you next week.